On July 19th, 1977, the world teacher, the Christ Maitreya, head of the spiritual hierarchy, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the masters of the wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood.
Good morning and welcome to our World Teacher program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Presented by Teresa and David on behalf of Share International New Zealand.
First up is a compelling review by Betsy Whitfill of the book Health Revelations from Heaven and Earth by Tommy Rosa and Stephen Sinatra, MD. This is sourced from the May 2016 issue of Share International magazine and begins.
As plumber Tommy Rosa steps off the curb one night in his Bronx, New York neighbourhood in March 1999, a car mowed him down and sped off into the night. Only Carlos from the store across the street heard the noise and looked out to see a diaphanous bright white form rise out of a dark mass lying in the street. He called for emergency help.
Doctors put Tommy's body on life support at the local hospital, where he lay in a lengthy coma. During that time, Tommy says he went to heaven, where his teacher taught him truths that could restore health and happiness to those who implement them.
After Tommy returned to his body, his long recovery included meeting a New York City cardiologist and psychotherapist, Dr. Stephen Sinatra, who had a deep interest in the near-death experiences he had been cataloguing in his 40-year practice.
This book is the product of their collaboration. Tommy's revelations coincide with truths that Dr. Sinatra's medical experience has revealed, that by transforming our attitudes, relationships and habits, we can heal our bodies, abolish our fear of death, and live joyfully.
Tommy's descriptions of his heavenly experiences are charming and detailed. I'm in a room and the bright light that brought me here gradually dims. As I get my bearings, I look down and realize that I can't see or feel my feet touch the ground. None of this feels weird or frightening, only natural. It's so cool.
Soon a man filled with light approaches. His eyes are very compelling and beautiful. They are a very soft brown and calming, and seem to look right through me, but in a very kind way. He has what seems like a 3-week-old beard, but it is evenly grown in and doesn't look messy.
He knows my name. I instinctively know to trust him. I'm safe. But more than safe, I feel a deep and perfect love flowing into me from this man. Almost immediately, my teacher, as I see him, begins to show me my new surroundings. We move from one place to another, transported by the same tunnel of light through which I arrived.
Tommy recounts that his teacher created scenarios in which he could experience 8 revelations of truth to share with others in his earthly life. Connection, faithfulness, vital force, grounding, the body temple, positivity, self-love, and purpose. Dr. Sinatra discusses the scientific verification of each revelation from a medical perspective and lists directives for applying each revelation to one's life.
As he moves through heaven, Tommy experiences a connection with nature that he had never felt before, a real interconnectedness coupled with overwhelming, unconditional love.
His teacher explains the revelation of connectedness, that everything, seen and unseen, is connected to everything else, and that it is a living, divine interconnection.
We live in a sea of vibration, yet we each have individual talents and gifts that we are meant to discover and share with others, thereby exercising our interconnectedness for the betterment of all. The two most important gifts are the divine spark that unites and interconnects all living things, and free will.
Thinking good thoughts and living a life of service feeds one's divine spark, creating an inner glow of love that attracts and creates happiness in everyone around. The gift of free will enables each of us to find our own path toward spiritual evolution by choice, trial and error, and so arrive at a place uniquely created, for better or worse, and thereby learn from our successes and failures.
In Dr. Sinatra's discussion of this revelation of connection, he describes the documented healing effects of compassion and love. For example, a study at Duke University showed that coronary artery disease patients who had a close companion or loving spouse died at 1/3 the rate of those patients who were socially alone.
To experience the revelation of faithfulness, Tommy's teacher takes him to an ocean. As they walk into the water, Tommy sees many aquatic animals floating by and feels the connection, but realizes that his teacher has disappeared. Suddenly, some dark shapes approach, great white sharks with open mouths. Tommy panics, then hears a strong voice say, "Have no fear." Tommy thinks a sarcastic thought, then hears the voice again, "Have no fear." After closing his eyes to regain composure, Tommy opens them to find the sharks have disappeared and his teacher has returned.
His teacher explains that fear creates a negative energy that, as a matter of course, attracts the very thing or situation we are afraid of. Fear is a lack of faith. In his medical interpretation, Dr. Sinatra explains that his clinical observations support the real power of optimism and hope, both forms of faithfulness, to enlist the patient's own healing power over disease and to restore health even against all odds.
Tommy's teacher takes him to a beautiful neighbourhood with brick houses and flowers lining the streets, and explains the revelation of the vital force to Tommy. There is a vital force, or life force, he says, that lives in the mitochondria of each of our cells and flows through us as vibration. It protects us against diseases and infections, many chronic conditions, and even aging.
But the level of that vibration rises and falls throughout our lives, depending on our everyday choices of food, environment, thoughts and feelings. Healthy choices feed our mitochondria and increase our vibration. By maintaining a high vibration, we can eliminate disease before it embeds, and increase the natural healing powerhouse that is designed into our bodies.
Dr. Sinatra explains the immunity function of the vital force, or to use the medical term, adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, flowing from our mitochondria. He relates his experience that, although there is still medical controversy over the ability of a damaged heart to heal, as in heart failure for example, restoring proper levels of ATP will generate healing. He cites clinical experience with patients who have healed their heart disease by taking coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, which fertilizes the mitochondria and is found in certain foods or added by taking supplements.
While in heaven, Tommy learns from his teacher that the earth has a healing vibration. By grounding to the earth daily, walking barefoot, hugging trees, swimming in the sea, we can heal ourselves from the effects of daily doses of radiation, toxicity, inflammation and stress.
The teacher warns, however, that the earth, strong and resilient as it is, will continue to provide this essential healing only as long as our pollution levels do not rise beyond repair. A major element in our need for connection to nature is water. He tells Tommy that pure water has a distinct vibration of its own that cleanses, nourishes and protects, and is absolutely essential to the continued existence of all life on earth.
Dr. Sinatra's discussion of grounding or earthing is based on evidence he has gathered through many years of observing the benefits of directly connecting to the electrical field that is nature. He recommends 150 minutes each week of walking barefoot, swimming in the ocean, and other direct contact with nature.
His teacher tells Tommy that the body is a house or temple for the soul, and that his job is to keep the house clean and healthy so that the soul can grow in experience. We can make ourselves sick and unhappy, Tommy writes, but we can also change our habits and become healthy again. On this topic, Dr. Sinatra suggests biological chemical reasons why we should avoid trans fats, sugars, processed meats, toxic fish, shark and swordfish, and many other unhealthy foods.
Having taken Tommy to a magical snow-capped mountain top, his teacher tells him that the secret of a happy life is simplicity and the enjoyment of every minute of the gift of life. Thoughts are the most powerful creative tools we have, and positive thoughts raise our vibration and enhance health, joy and happiness.
Further, his teacher says, your thoughts are actions too. They begin a chain of events, positive or negative, just as if they were physical actions. Know too that every thought you and everyone else has is recorded here in heaven, and you are responsible for them. You are a collection of your thoughts and actions.
And as many are beginning to know, those thoughts and actions make our lives what they are. Dr. Sinatra recounts published studies and clinical observations of the benefits of positive thinking, no matter what the condition or situation. Physicians who hold out hope for their patients have better patient outcomes. Patients who daily recite mantras such as, I have everything it takes to heal completely, I am healing every day, do get better and are happier.
In the chapter, The Revelation of Self-Love, his teacher explains to Tommy about loving oneself without ego, unconditionally. This self-love, he says, is the essence of connecting to divine love, which is the source of miracles and joy in life. Ego, which demands satisfaction and reward, is, with fear, the source of all destruction in life, all wars, all hatred, anger and deceit. These twin forces of destruction, as the teacher calls them, are the consequences of separation from God. The solution, therefore, must be to turn back to divine love and truly forgive ourselves and others.
Dr. Sinatra discusses the physical effects of love and, conversely, abuse and neglect by reporting on scientific studies and his own clinical experience, which confirmed Tommy's revelation on self-love.
When it comes to Tommy's question as to the purpose of life, his teacher answers simply, to grow spiritually. Live through the heart. Become an example of divine unconditional love. Share your gifts. Living through the heart raises your vibration high enough to maintain optimal, vibrant good health.
But, the teacher adds, mistakes are normal and to be expected. Just see them as opportunities for self-improvement. Forgive yourself and others, and you will increase your self-love, your vibration, your health and joy.
At the very end of his stay in heaven, Tommy finally asks his teacher for his name. You know me as Jesus the Christ. Astounded, Tommy then asks, if you are Jesus, who is God? Jesus explains that God is omnipresent, all that is, and lives within every person. Jesus then lifts his hand high, manifesting a ball of brilliant, multicoloured light that Tommy describes as a living light, conscious and filled with love. The ball hovers over Jesus' open hand, rays of light streaming from it.
Jesus moves his hand and the ball towards Tommy, who is trembling and weeping with the power and beauty of this energy. Then, over Tommy's head, increasing the exquisite experience. Jesus tells Tommy that this is what good looks like in this moment as pure energy, but he can take any form. But that Tommy is not ready to come any closer. His experience in heaven have shown him that God is in all and within himself.
Suddenly, Tommy is whisked back into his broken body. His recovery is painful and slow, and he tries to escape the pain by calling forth his heavenly feelings. As he heals, he finds that he can read people's thoughts, their state of health, their auras, but he doesn't share the heavenly revelations for fear of ridicule, and so becomes isolated and withdrawn.
Because he is not living according to the revelations he received, Tommy's unresolved issues of negative self-worth and lack of self-love return, along with his unhealthy eating habits. 8 years after his near-death experience, Tommy has a massive heart attack and is in a hospital bed again.
After recovering his strength, with the help of a loving friend and later wife, Michelle, he experiences a number of miracles that reinforce his feeling of connectedness to God and all life, which Jesus had shown him in heaven. Upon reading a book by Dr. Stephen Sinatra, Metabolic Cardiology, about healing the heart, Tommy rebuilds his body and again, with Michelle's help, reconnects with the heavenly revelations.
When Tommy and Michelle later attend a talk by Dr. Sinatra, Tommy sees him in pain after the lecture. Tommy instantly tells him that a staphylococcus infection at a hip replacement site is causing his pain. Sinatra is amazed and the two begin a close relationship and eventually produce this book.
The reader comes away from health revelations from heaven and earth with a sense of comfort and hope, perhaps a renewed love of life and living without fear, especially the fear of death. As Tommy says, there is no real death, and when our time comes, it will be like walking through a door to our real home.
You're listening to the World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Benjamin Creme commented that, "I believe all people have the potential to transmit healing energies from some source or other, usually their solar plexus or their own soul. Meditation and service are the key methods of strengthening and fulfilling that potential."
It is the love of the soul which creates in its reflection, the man or woman, the desire to heal. Not everybody is attracted to healing, but everyone can heal. Everyone can be a channel for the healing energy of love. That love energy may demonstrate itself in different ways through different individuals and along different ray paths, but it is the primary motive which drives the individual to heal.
Should you then lay hands on everyone who asks that you do, you must use your intuition. This is the only guide you have. Many years ago, I used to give healings and was getting wonderful results. Then I read Esoteric Healing by Alice A. Bailey and realized that I knew absolutely nothing about healing. I knew even less about the law of karma and how that might govern someone's illness or cure.
So I stopped giving healings for many years. Later my master told me, "You could have gone on. I was behind you. I was doing the healing." But I did not know that then. When a master heals, he knows exactly how much energy in which particular chakra is necessary, possible, right to use. That is something we do not know. We work blindly.
But if the motive is loving and the healing is left to the healing powers of the love of God or the masters, or whatever you call it, what is right will be done. Keep yourself, the personal healer, out of it. Each one of us is a healing channel if we want to be, and when asked, we have the human duty to try and help.
We know that stress is one of the great killers in questions of heart disease and so on. But we don't realize the enormous effect that stress, present, political, economic, social conditions, has on the world as a whole. And nobody escapes it. There is nobody, however strong you are, how much inner peace you may have, there is nobody in the world today who escapes this general malaise, this stress in the world, this sense that something tremendous is impending, either very good or very bad, and most people, naturally, being pessimistic, tend to think it's very bad. And the prophets of doom, of course, are there by the thousand. Humanity is already set on the process of self-regeneration. We are about to regenerate our life and to create the conditions of right living, which includes health. I believe it will take probably 200 or 300 years for the major diseases like cancer and so on to be totally obliterated from the planet. And that will only come about, as all other diseases will only be really controlled, by a reorganization of man's life and a reorientation of man's thought and purpose to the inner spiritual reality of which he is a part.
We'll conclude our programme today by quoting an article entitled Health and Healing Part 1, courtesy of Mr. Krem's Master, which featured in Share International, October 1982.
Everywhere today are to be found groups whose main concern is to further the idea of healthy living and to foster the interest of the public in achieving greater vitality and freedom from disease.
On all sides, books are appearing offering dietary and other regimes, some new and unproved, others based on ancient law, which claim to cure all bodily ills from overweight to the deadliest scourges to which humanity is prone. A new impetus has been given to research into the causes and nature of disease and to its prevention and cure.
As yet, the true cause of disease is quite unknown. Buried deep in man's past, it is largely karmic and is transmitted by heredity. In this karma, all of humanity shares. Ancient transgressions of the laws of life have left this unwelcome heritage, and only a profound reconstruction of our ways of thinking and living will transform this situation and gradually bring balance.
That such balance will come is inevitable, but it will take time to eradicate certain age-old diseases and to cleanse the soil of the planet itself. In particular, the traditional forms of burial widespread today must give way to cremation, the only sanitary method of disposal of the body after death.
Everywhere now are to be found enclaves of research into newer healing methods. Much experimentation is proceeding along reasonably correct lines, and the doors of knowledge are opening one by one. Soon a flood of new insights will sweep the world, leading to an entirely new approach to disease, its cause and treatment.
Behind all of this activity stands hierarchy, watching and guiding from behind the scenes of life, seeking, wherever possible, to stimulate research and experiment. This stimulus flows along two main lines: to galvanize far-seeing men into exploration of man's constitution and structure, on the knowledge of which an understanding of the mechanism of disease depends, and to stimulate the various means, curative, ameliorative, and preventative, old and new, orthodox and unorthodox, which seek to control disease today.
One of the outstanding happenings of the present time has been the rise into prominence of so-called spiritual or faith healers of various kinds. There has been a marked shift in public acceptance of their role and gifts, and this on a worldwide scale.
A new interest in the ancient healing methods of the East has widened the technical resources and understanding of Western practitioners, while prevention of disease, the creation of conditions of health and vitality, is gradually gaining a major role.
All of this portends well for the future. a future in which we shall see the gradual conquering of the ills which so beset mankind. The first step will be to eradicate the fear of disease and, from an understanding of its cause, inculcate a more correct approach to its control.
The transformation of social structures will do much to improve the health of humanity, removing much of the chronic stress and anxiety which is the experience of millions today. Greater leisure and recreation will play their part, while sounder agricultural methods will ensure the production of food whose vitality is adequate to man's needs.
When mankind realizes the true nature of its constitution, as a soul reflecting itself through mental, emotional, and twofold physical, etheric and dense bodies, the first step in the conquering of disease will be taken. Until now, man's attention has been focused on the dense physical plane, while the causes of disease are to be found in the misappropriation of the energies flowing through the subtler bodies.
Man is on the verge of a great discovery, that disease is the result of imbalance, that correct balance is maintained by correct thought and action, and that such correct thought and action involves his brothers and sisters everywhere. If man would end disease, he must first end separation.
And that's our program for today. If you have any questions, please call us on 06 3646 101 or visit the website share-international.org.
To inquire about Share International magazine subscriptions, books by Benjamin Creme, or our monthly free of charge newsletter, the number is 04-234 1133, or write to P.O. Box 9576 Wellington.
Thank you for listening to us on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. And please tune in to our next World Teacher program on Saturday the 28th of October at the usual time of 10 a.m.
You can listen again to this program and previous ones by visiting our website at share-international-nz.info and click on the radio tab.